Hello, everybody, and welcome to December's Deal Clinic Live with our agent here, who is Leah Moorhouse, and potentially as well, Bruce Mannering, who is from Bond Finance Limited. We also have Tim Sanders, our own investor, here on board with us too. So please feel free. Tim will be asking questions as well, just to encourage the interaction, but please don't let that stop you from asking your own. So again, once again, any questions, drop those into the Q&A box or the chat box. I'll be keeping my eye open on those. The coffee has already worn off, people. And I'll be directing those to the people that can answer those for you in the best way possible. Again, for those of you watching on replay, please feel free to message us at admin@sourcinginvestments.co.uk or via social media too, on Facebook or Instagram and our YouTube channel. So if you want to register to the platform, please use sourcinginvestments.co.uk/investor-registration, and that's where you'll be able to register. So as I've mentioned already, our presenters here today, which I'm happy to introduce, are Leah Moorhouse of Moorhouse Property Services, and we have our own power team member, Bruce Mannering of Bond Finance Limited, as well as our very own investor, Tim Sanders. And then there's myself, Bonnie Marshall, your host. Okay, so without further ado, I'm just going to let me just see who we've got here. We've got 7 attendees now. They're coming in thick and fast. So I've got Alan, I think I've mentioned Fitzroy, James, Janet, Jen, Louis and Peter. Welcome. And also welcome to those of you who watch on the replay too. So without further ado, I'd like to just touch a little bit about Leah, who is the director of Moorhouse Property Services. So they've been with us now for a year, and they have a great history on the platform already. Current response time is within an hour, so that's super responsive, and they are really productive in what they do. Average yields are around 7.4%, and they are obviously fully compliant with our compliance vault. Based in Hampshire, they operate in different parts of the UK, but their main focus is the south coast of England. They provide a wide range of services, solutions for both homeowners and investors and landlords as well. And strategies include buy-to-lets, multi-units, multi-lets, HMOs, as well as flips and serviced accommodation. And we're very happy to watch this company grow whilst they're with us. So without further ado, I'm going to use my tech abilities here and share my screen so that you can see a quick video of Leah and her company here with us and all that they do. Bear with me. Let me just, as you all know, my sharing my tech abilities. Let me just get into that. There we are. Okay. And here we go.
Hi, my name's Leah Moorhouse, and I'm the owner and director of Moorhouse Property Services. We provide a wide range of services and solutions for landlords and investors across the Southampton area and South Coast. We provide property sourcing and packaging services that are geared towards delivering the maximum returns on investment possible for our clients. As personal property shoppers, we work with investors and landlords which, well, some are new to property and want our help kickstarting their investment journey, and others have a number of existing investment properties in their portfolio and want our help building their portfolio further, or with managing their existing investments to help take some pressure off and give them some more time back. In short, we offer a full end-to-end service from sourcing an investment to light touch redecoration or extensive renovation through to property management, meaning the investors that we work with can be as hands-on or as hands-off as they want to be or that they need us to be. Southampton offers diversity to landlords and investors because it allows them to branch out into different strategies. So, for example, Southampton has 2 universities, which has an approximate population of 50 students, which means that HMOs and shared accommodation works really well across the city. You've also got service accommodation and holiday lets. Again, it's a port city, cruise ships, you've got the airport, and a number of other tourist attractions all year round, which means that Southampton is fantastic to utilise and implement those types of strategies. You can expect to achieve return on investment anything from 20% up to 45%. As for yield, you can expect to achieve 6% up to 12%.
Okay, wonderful. And with that, Leah, I would love to hand over to yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Well, I think there's been quite a lot said about the business so far. So I think now's a really good opportunity to talk about me briefly and sort of how I got to here. So a bit of background on myself. So I'm based in Southampton, but I am from Yorkshire, you might tell from the accent, from a little village called Holmfirth. So my claim to fame there is the TV programme Last of the Summer Wine. So there's lots of sheep, lots of fields, and it's a lovely place to live. And I sort of left the village, went to university, twice actually, the degree and a postgraduate degree, mainly in sport and recreation development, sports coaching, youth work, those types of things, for about 8 years. And it just so happened that one of my family friends at the Leeds Christmas market, he was the managing director of a recruitment company. He said, Leah, what are you up to? I've got a job I think you'll be really good at. It's in Reading. So I tried to sort of negotiate the salary after he'd had a few pints, but we left it to Monday morning. And within the space of 4 weeks, I'd moved to Reading, started my career in Reading, working in recruitment, of which I went on to manage a branch across the southeast, doing sort of basically recruitment within healthcare. So I've been down south for 12 years now. I then migrated further down south into Southampton, and have worked in recruitment or workforce management, the NHS, in quite senior roles for the more recent 4 years. And it was only from the pandemic that I sort of had a had a sort of realization of, is this what I want to keep doing? What am I really passionate about? After 12 years working in recruitment, what's next for me? And the sort of the realization was, my family's always been involved in property. They've got portfolios, they've converted commercial properties into residential and vice versa, sold land, and, you know, lots of different things. So for me, it was always a case of when. So that moment of realization, I thought, actually, I want to be involved in property. Let's do it. So I completed some training with the PIN group, so Simon Zucchi. I did the deal sourcer training, and immediately I knew that this was it. This is what I'm going to do. And that was 2021. And I thought, right, I'm going to go for it and set up my own business, Moorhouse Property Services. And people say that I've got a really good last name to be working in property. So it's been one hell of a year. Throughout the last 12 months, I've evolved the business, done more training, so I can offer I guess different levels of service to the investors that I'm working with. And right now I find myself offering a full end-to-end service, and the investors that I work with can choose any part of that process that they want or need me for, basically. So it's, yeah, certainly quite diverse at the moment, which is fantastic, keeps me on my toes and loving every second of it, which is really, really good. So in terms of a bit about me, that's kind of it in a nutshell, so to speak. But Moorhouse Property Service, as I say, we've been going for 12 months now. And the sourcing investment platform has been fantastic, especially the coaching sessions that we have on a monthly basis with Bonnie, which has been, yeah, really good to report back on. Guess what I've done now, which has been really, really good. So let's get into it. So the first property we're going to have a look at today is property number 1. Let me just start to, yes, all right, we're doing well so far. So bear with me. So property 1. So this is a HMO in the centre of Southampton. Now, a couple of pictures. So it's a 4-bed HMO. It's licensed for five tenants. Now, a bit of background about this before we get into the numbers. So I've had a really positive response to landlord letters, and this particular investor has been investing for quite some years now. This particular property they purchased 20 years ago, and it was for their brother because they was going to university in Southampton, and they've just kept hold of it since then. Now, they invest quite heavily in, I guess their gold mine area is the Isle of Wight. And actually, this property just sits outside of their gold mine area, which is why they're looking at their options in terms of offloading this particular property. Now, the price that we have gravitated towards is 230,000. Although there's still room for negotiation here, the landlord, as an immediate purchase price, we've sort of arrived at 230, but as I said, there's room for negotiation. They have also highlighted that they would consider a purchase lease option. That detail would need to sort of be firmed up, formalised, but they've just basically made me aware of that. Now, unfortunately, we haven't been able to progress negotiations much further, basically due to the fact that I've had a lovely holiday in Barbados. I've returned last week. They're now in Africa doing a safari, so it's more of a to be continued conversation. But certainly, if anybody wanted to reach out after today, then I'm more than happy to provide more information once I've had the chance to speak to the seller, and then we can take it from there. But coming back to the property then, so it's in the city centre and it's in absolute prime location. It's, in fact, if I can just show you on the map quickly, in terms of location, this is your city centre. It's really close to the docks and the Red Funnel ferries. Now, the reason I mention that is, although it is being utilised as a HMO, if we're talking about strategies, HMO is definitely, you can make sure that you are utilising the licence that it already holds. But equally, you can also explore other strategies as well, serviced accommodation being one of them. But we'll come back to that. Let's go back and have a look at the pictures. So this is the front of the property. What you will notice is that it's in a block of flats. So it's a masonette split across 2 floors. In terms of the inside, let's have a look. I have been to this property myself. I've got a video walk around, and we've got plenty of pictures as well. But you'll essentially find that you've got your reception room. I think here it might have skipped to the back of the property. Front door, so to enter the premises, you have to buzz through. So it's got, it's what do you call it? Security access, basically. You've got a bedroom 1, which is a double room. You've got a downstairs toilet. You've also got a kitchen, which, to be fair, is in good condition. It would benefit from some modernisation. So paint, you could replace the tiles if you wanted to. Again, depending on how much you wanted to invest in this property, it really comes down to you as the investor. But it's already got tenants in there at the moment. There is 1 vacant room, and that really comes down to the fact that the seller is looking to explore selling the property. Therefore, they didn't see the value in filling the room when they might just have to serve them notice within a period of time. So in terms of, sorry, I appreciate that I've just jumped around a little bit here. In terms of the numbers, it can achieve, I've made a note here, it can achieve 26,400 per annum. So that's on average, let's say 550 a room, which is pretty standard across Southampton, to be honest, in the condition that it's in as well. I believe that the landlord currently markets it at 450, but they are self-managing and they're not in the area, so they're slightly under market value just to ensure that they've got the tenants in place. And at that, they are long-standing tenants as well. So the tenants that are in there are 1 single occupancy, a father who then brought his wife across, and then the son is now in one of the rooms, which then leaves the fourth property, sorry, the fourth room vacant. So in a nutshell, the annual rent should achieve 26,400. That would leave you a gross yield of 11.4%. And as you can see, the sort of figures on the on the screen there, your return on investment at 237,000, purchase price is 32.7%. Excuse me. So where are we? So it's an off-market property at the moment. Now, it has been utilised as a HMO for about 20 years. Now, something you need to know about Southampton is it does have the Article 4 legislation in place, which for this particular property means that it doesn't have a C4 planning at the present time, but we would be able to exercise grandfather rights. So the fact that it's being utilised as a HMO prior to legislation being brought in 2012. So in this case, we would be asking the seller to provide a certificate of lawfulness. But I know, Bruce, you're going to cover some more about HMOs and sort of the licensing in sort of your part of the presentation. So I'll leave it there. Thank you for that. So a little bit about the area then. So as I've mentioned, it's in a really prime location, close to the docks, close to the ferries. So talking about serviced accommodation, the numbers in terms of occupancy, on average for a, I'd say a 4-bed property in Southampton, you'd be looking at 100, let's say average here, £150 a night. That would mean that at a 70% occupancy rate, you'd be, what profit wise, and would that be £1,500 a month, basically? So there's certainly some scope there for serviced accommodation. Alternatively, you continue to utilise the property as a HMO, which if you did decide to utilise the 5 license as opposed to, because it's a 4-bed with a 5 license, then you might also be able to achieve slightly higher rent per annum. Sorry, I've still recovering from my flu, so it's complete. I've had a mind fog and lost my train of thought there. But where are we? Do we have any? I'm just going to pause for a second. Do we have any questions on anything?
Actually, Leah, we don't have any questions, which means that what you're conveying is crystal clear to the viewers right now.
Sure.
But actually, I think I'd love to bring Bruce in. So just for the viewers that are watching, Bruce Mannering is from Bond Finance Limited, and they're actually part of our power team, completely independent mortgage brokers that have access across the whole of the market. And they're really dedicated in finding clients the best deals out there, and they have really strong relationships with key lenders. So it gives them that foot in the door that maybe other lenders and other investors may not be able to have access to. So with that, Bruce, I'd just like to bring you in, if you could shed some light on this with regards to your expertise on Leah's deal. We just have got, June has just piped in, so just bear with me 1 second there, Bruce. June has asked, how do you choose a good area? So this is a really powerful question, Leah, because as agents, we get asked this quite a lot with regards to our skill set and the reason why we're important to an investor. So would you like to answer that for June?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a number of ways in which I might assess an area, and that's I can have a look at the crime rates within a particular area. I'll have a look at platforms such as Spare Room and Open Rent, and have a look to see how many properties are sort of the supply versus demand. Have a look to see how many properties are out there at the moment versus how many I guess potential tenants are also on those same platforms looking for properties. So that gives me a little bit of an idea. I'm also looking at any potential developments in the area, because that's usually opportunity knocking at the door. I know Southampton in particular, there's a multi-million pound sort of development that's happening, and with that in mind, you're thinking about service accommodation. They're going to be bringing in builders and contractors. They need to be housed, etc. We've also got I might have mentioned on the video, the universities, so that's really good for HMOs. We've also got the hospitals. Now, I don't know how familiar people are with the current strategy that's happening in the NHS. We've got, I want to say, 3 different trusts, which Southampton General Hospital alone has got. It's like a mini village. I used to work there, so trust me, I know. I used to do all the recruitment for them, and they have got thousands and thousands of people. But coming back to the NHS strategy, they are bringing across 15,000 overseas nurses every year. So it's just thinking about actually working in property, how can we facilitate and underpin that recruitment? So in most cases, they don't want to sign up to 6 months or a year AST. They need a short-term let, by which point, 3 months, and then they want to move on to somewhere else. So if you've got HMOs in the area, you've got flats, again, you can offer them a service from when they first arrive in the UK through to when they're here for a longer stay. They might want to stay even longer than that. So you're thinking about bringing their families over, and suddenly you've got a pipeline of opportunity just from the NHS itself.
Amazing, amazing.
In a nutshell, there's probably a few other things as well, but I'll leave it there for a second.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
I totally agree with Leah. There's you can get NHS contracts where basically these overseas doctors and nurses need to change over they need to do a training course to change over to the NHS system, and it's only for 3 months. I've got lots of landlords renting in the southeast and in Portsmouth, Southampton, Brighton. They get these influx of foreign nationals which need to be housed, doctors and dentists, and etc., etc. And the NHS is signing up properties for 5 years on an FRI lease, which is fantastic, absolutely fantastic for income. Right, Bonnie, shall I just pop into my presentation and just cover off my educational piece?
Yes, that would be awesome. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Pleasure. Okay.
Sorry, Tim, you had your hand up earlier. Was there something that you wanted to mention? Is it before Bruce goes into his slides, or?
I've got quite a few actually. I really like this one. So I've got a few little things to ask, but I'll let Bruce go first, and then I'll jump in after.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Cool, brilliant, excellent. Well, welcome everybody. This is a slide deck which I did last week for another foreign national presentation I do. I'm going to quickly just go through the introduction about me, myself, and stuff like that. But I really want to do a little educational piece over planning. And that's the reason why I put this deck together and shared it with everybody. So this slide deck is a quick introduction about me. There's what lenders are looking for foreign nationals and expats, and HMO and planning, and that's what I want to concentrate on. It does go on to first-time buyer rates, second-time buyer rates, and there was a question thing, but I'm just going to concentrate on the first 3 points. So, who am I? Well, I started bond finance with my business partner back in 2004. We are FCA regulated and founding members of the NACFB. If your broker doesn't have those 2 accreditations, find a broker who does. All my brokers are CMAT qualified, and we've basically got 2 departments. We've got a residential buy-to-let department and a commercial department. That's our merry band of men and ladies based in the city. That's me and Dan at the top, and we've got our brokers in the middle, and we've got our line managers, and we've got our compliance and accounting supporting us. We're a medium-sized firm based in the city. That's where we are, in the city of London, and I actually commute between London and Brisbane. I'm currently in Brisbane. It's 10:30 at night. If it's an odd month, I'm in the UK. If it's an even month, I'm in Brisbane, so I've got loads of air miles. So Right, what are lenders looking for? I was going to touch on this just to remind everybody what lenders are looking for foreign national expats. They're looking for a good income. So they're looking for £50,000 or equivalent. They're looking for UK landlord experience. They're looking for a mortgage credit profile in the UK. Now, guaranteed, 9 out of 10 of my investors do not have, or sorry, clients, do not have all these 3 criteria. But it's not a problem. We can still help. But basically, you have to earn your landlord experience. You have to earn your credit stripes. So basically, we're starting off a slightly lower loan to value, 65 to 70% for your first investment. Once you've got your credit stripes, we can then go to 75%. So this is the bit I wanted to talk about, because both the deals Leah's kindly brought together today are HMOs. And I want to do an educational piece on planning permission. So you've got a family house. That's called, you've got C3 planning on that property. So it can be used for a family. Now, as soon as you move out that family and you put 3 to 6 unrelated people in that property, remember it's people, not rooms with HMOs. Everyone talks about bedrooms. It's the amount of people. It automatically gets C4 planning under permitted development rights. Now, what Leah was talking earlier on about is an Article 4 directive, which reduces, they're trying to reduce the amount of HMOs in a certain area. Councils have the right to put this in. Now, if you want to convert a C3 house to a C4 property in an Article 4 area, you have to get planning, unless it's been used prior to C4 as an HMO. And Leah talked about grandfathering rights, which is 100% spot on. And the landlord can go down with his stack of ASTs, prove that he's used it prior to Article 4, and get a certificate of your lawful use. Now, what's really interesting is the effect of Article 4 does on valuation methodology. Now, C3 to C4 in a non-Article 4 area, the problem the valuers have got is that 1 month it can be used as an HMO, the other month it can be used as C3 property. So how do they value it? Generally, they lean more towards the bricks and mortar value. You may get an uplift in value if you've fundamentally changed the fabric of the building, like putting in en-suites all the way through, but essentially it's all based on bricks and mortar. The great thing about Article 4, which people shy away from, is that you can get a commercial yield-based valuation. So that it drives it off the income of the property because it can't be used as C3 anymore, which generally you get a higher valuation. I've done about 100 rooms in Portsmouth in postcodes PO1 to about PO4 last year with one client. And what we found out is that there was a higher valuation on a yield-based valuation in Portsmouth, and Portsmouth is right next door to Southampton, of about 15, maybe even 20%. So it's a good way of potentially recycling your money later on down the line, and then buying more properties. So I'm a big fan of Article 4. I'm also a big fan of sui generis properties, which is 7 or more people in one house. I basically class any HMO over 10, I call them lumpy HMOs because they're really big beasts. But you definitely need to get planning to move from either C3 or C4 to sui generis. It's full-on planning. I'm a big fan of 7, 8, 9 bed HMOs because anything more than that, you're getting diminishing returns with the amount of outlay, it seems like. The 7, 8, 9 beds, big fan of HMOs, and you definitely guaranteed a yield-based valuation, enabling you to recycle more money. Right, that's my rant. over. Hopefully it's a good educational piece. And I will stop sharing my slides. Do I have any questions?
Yes, Bruce, we do have a question. June has just asked, what if I just want to enlarge a house? Do I have to use a HMO registration, even though I don't want to turn it into a HMO?
No. It's all about usage of a property. So if you've got a house and it's a single let and you've just putting it as side return or back extension, all under PD, you don't need any planning permission at all or registration to licensing or anything like that. Does that answer the question?
It does, Bruce. Thank you so much. And June, if you'd like to reach out, I've already dropped my email address into the chat box. It's bonnie@sourcinginvestments.co.uk. I'll happily have a conversation with you and see how we can help you move forward in your sourcing agent journey. Okay, beautiful. Tim, do you want to unmute yourself so that you can ask the questions? You said you had a list of things that you were intrigued about. Please do, go ahead.
Yes, this is I like this one. My brain's ticking away with this one quite nicely. So first question, actually, I'm not sure whether this one's Bruce or Leah. The grandfather rights that you spoke about, are they automatically passed on to the new owner with that certificate? Does that mean that the previous owner that was using it for an HMO 20 years ago, that can still be valid for the new owner if they purchased it after the Article 4?
Correct.
Bro, that's an easy one ticked off.
But they would still need to apply for their license.
100%.
Right. Okay, so the license still needs to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. So next one is the valuation of 230 compared to 250. Is that because it's currently below market value and the owner wants to get rid of it quite quick, or is that with extra work going on to it afterwards to make it up to the 250?
Yeah, sure. So a couple of different things. So the owner advised me that she's had the property valued for mortgaging purposes. So she's, again, just exploring her options. She advised that the property's been valued at 250,000, but she's willing to, it's making it attractive. She's not really had it for a long time, trying to make it attractive for the next buyer. Now, in terms of a comparable property, there is a family home that sold in the same block in January this year, so 12 months ago. That sold for, I want to say, 192 or 194,000.
I think is that the one that's on your comparables on the listing?
It could be,
right?
yes. I realised I didn't click through all of the pictures because my multitasking skills are terrible. So I think we looked at 2 pictures and that's it. So thank you for being proactive there and looking through the rest of them.
Cool. No, that's great. So yeah, again, I like that. So in terms of the current tenants that are in there, is that a family, as you spoke about a father that brought his son and family over? Are they foreigners that have come over to the UK for work and in temporary home, and then they're looking to find their own place afterwards?
Sure. So they've been in the property for some time now. So there's no plan for them to be temporary. I know that I mentioned about the nurses, but actually they just so happen to be, I think they're from Portugal and they're living and working in the UK. But there's also another tenant in there that isn't related to them. So it's a bit of a mixed household at the moment.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I actually know, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. And the tenants, it could either be tenants in situ or they can be served notice. So again, there's flexibility there depending on what the seller would prefer. Okay,
that's good. I also know, as you mentioned, cruise ships go out of Portsmouth and Southampton quite a lot. Some of the other work I do is involved in cruise ships, and I do know there's quite a lot of people that need the odd night stay here and there for serviced accommodation. So I think that would go really well for serviced accommodation in that area. Are there any licenses that are needed for serviced accommodation?
For Southampton at the moment, no, but I think there's plans to roll. There's certain boroughs, London be it, that I think are sort of underway at the moment. But for Southampton, no.
Okay.
There isn't. But I guess I do have one serviced accommodation, which has been on Airbnb for, this week will be the 4th week. We've got bookings for December, a few for January, all of February has been booked out. So considering that, and there's more for July, August, etc. But when I liaise with experienced serviced accommodation operators that have got 30 to 40 SAs in Southampton and Portsmouth. They've sort of advised that, look, January at the moment, based on trends, the contractors are booking usually on the Monday for the week. So don't focus on January until you get to January. Actually, if you're in December, looking at the numbers that I've relayed to them for, it's not too far away from this property actually, we'll break even, and it's a good month because, well, it's December, that's what the expectation is.
Brill. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Two more questions then. Firstly, are there any, I know them as factors fees because I invest in Scotland a bit, in terms of management fees and sharing the communal areas in the block of flats, how's that dealt with?
Yes, so that's to be confirmed. So that's some of the detail that the seller is going to be sharing with me. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes there is the ground fee, but because that area, I believe that block would have been previous council. So in respect of that, usually the rates are a little bit lower than your service departments.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I have a couple of places that are run by council still as well, and they're actually pretty good. They're pretty decent at that. And then finally, then, you mentioned about PLOs. Have you got any more sort of slight details on what they might be willing to accept as a PLO?
Yeah, sure. So again, this is about the detail, and we're yet to continue this conversation. But I know that with the purchase lease options, you can. I can't remember the official term, but you can start the option with as little as £1. I completely appreciate that, but the seller has sort of brought to my attention that she's got other developments that are happening. What she finds really attractive about the purchase lease option is that you can have a certain percentage as a down payment, which to her advantage she could then utilise to invest in other things. So it would be looking at what that percentage up front would be, hopefully a slightly larger sum than £1, but at the same time that would come off the end purchase price of the property as well. Again, open to the timeline. So again, it's sort of in to be continued, so to speak. But that's as far as we got with it.
Okay, bro. It's something that sounds very attractive. So I definitely would be interested to know more.
Perfect. Thank you, Tim.
Brilliant. That's everything from me. Thank you.
Awesome. Loving those questions, Tim. Amazing. And thank you, Leah, for the answers. I actually have something that I'd like to point out, Leah. Tim mentioned that the comparable was approximately 190, 195. But I'd just like to mention that, just to confirm, that property as the comparable was sold as a buy-to-let and not a HMO. And so that's obviously right. With the HMO price point, there's a yield coming in that would be higher than actually what a buy-to-let single-use property would be. Can you just confirm that for us, please?
That's correct, yes. Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. We also have a couple of questions. Fitzroy Thomas, thank you so much. He wants to know who deals with the utility bills.
In a shared accommodation, it tends to be the landlord, or at least the management operator. So that's usually included in the rent. So if I'd say for a 4-bed property, you'd want to budget for each tenant maybe £100 to £130 for all bills including. So that, let's say you'd be coming in at 6, what was that, 4, 3? Yeah. What's the maths on that? Sorry, my illness is getting the better of me. It's like
it's interesting. We're all currently suffering at the moment. Although we look presentable.
Yeah,
520.
480 or something like that, isn't it? Up to 480. Sorry.
520.
Fine. So it will depend if it was 4 tenants or if he was going to have 5 in there. So yeah, it would depend. Okay,
perfect. Thank you so much for that, Leah. So Fitzroy, with regards to what Leah's just mentioned, with HMOs, because the rent is per room, usually that rent includes all bills, as Leah's just mentioned. So the landlord or the investor would take care of the bills, and that would be deducted from the rent that they receive. I hope that's clear. Another question. Okay, June, with regards to your deals, and again, that's a sourcing agent question. So please feel free to reach out to me with regards to how we can support you in your sourcing agent role journey. Okay, Fitzroy has said with the increasables. I'm not sure what you mean by increasables. Fitzroy, if you could just confirm that and so I have a little bit more clarity with the increase. Is that meant to be increases? It says increases. I'm presuming that means increases. Increases with regards to which increase, Fitzroy? If you could just let me know what that refers to, that would be awesome. Thank you so much.
I think it might be
the bill.
Utility bill.
yeah, is the bills going up and having a little bit of trouble with that. I think that's basically something that no one really knows about at this point, right? It's
Yeah, but generally speaking, you might want to budget up to 130 per tenant now. That's including utility bills, council tax, Wi-Fi, etc. We are due to have the increase in April. So again, it might be slightly more, but that tends to be something that you factor into the tenancy agreement, so that it does factor in, as a landlord, you might cover X amount. Once it goes above that, due to usage, etc., then that is then passed on to the tenant. So there's different ways of being able to minimise, I guess, your yield slowly decreasing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And just with regards to, we mentioned the lease options there. So that is something that we can utilise and navigate within the platform as well, just in case investors are wondering if that's something we deal with. Okay, Bruce, did you have anything further to add at all?
No, it's all spot on. Yeah, it's a good investment. I would probably lean towards a lender to give a commercial yield-based valuation. We're generally getting about 10% gross yield in Portsmouth, so 11% sounds, 10 to 11% off the rent sounds good. So it feels about right, 230, 250 on a yield-based valuation, but a bricks and mortar sounds like a little bit lower. So yeah, I would use a lender which uses commercial yield based on this one.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Bruce, we actually have a question that's come in directly for yourself. It's from James Bruno. Thank you, James, and thank you for being a viewer each month. So Bruce, can I get finance on my UK but to let for refurb overseas? I think that means, can I get finance on my UK buy to let for a refurb from overseas?
Yes, you can, definitely. I've got a number of lenders which I can use depending on your level of experience and which country you're in, because some lenders don't like certain countries, so I need to generally find out where they live, what they do, their landlord experience, their credit profile, and from that I can narrow down which lenders best suit the clients.
Amazing, thank you so much. So Bruce,
St. Lucia, yeah,
from St. Lucia,
fine.
Thank you so much. This call is global. Love it. Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much, Bruce. I will Bruce, for answering that, and James, I will put in Bruce's link so that you can contact Bruce directly. Okay,
and also June can contact me as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so Leah, shall we go to your second deal, please?
Yes, June has just asked a question around if you don't want to deal with tenants, what are the best strategies? Shall I just answer that one quickly?
Oh, yes, please. I missed that one, please.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So I guess if you are thinking about flipping, then you're not going to have any dealings with tenants whatsoever. But if you're wanting to buy and hold onto a property, then if you don't want to deal with the day-to-day management, then there are other options such as liaising with a management company. Again, the service which I'm introducing to my business, so at least I know that I've done the full end-to-end on a property like this, and make sure that it's managed and fully tenanted at the end of that as well. One of the other options are if you are doing serviced accommodation, again, you can have somebody in place who will manage all of the bookings for you. So that might come at a slight cost, usually a percentage of the rent or, whatever agreement it is that you make, which means that you're completely hands off and you just see the money in the bank each month.
Thank you, Leah. And Bruce, June has asked a question with regards to, is this what you're going, best time to get funding, please? Thank you so much.
No, I was going to add on to Leah's FRI lease with Circa or Mears or the NHS. Completely hassle-free, and they've got to give the property back in the same condition. Normally a 3, 5 or 7 year lease. Happy days. Right. So yeah. So what was the question?
So June has asked Bruce
Yep.
if she wants to get into property, when's the best time to get funding for it?
I would get it all pre-agreed, have a chat with the broker, so you know what your limitations are, and you have a feel for the numbers, because in this sort of market, the funding is dictating what you can go for. So you need to have a one-to-one consultancy with a broker or me. So yeah,
Brilliant.
I'll do that up front, so you can know which angles you can use.
And that's a really key point, isn't it, Bruce, to make sure that it's about planning forward, to make sure you know what you're able to get before you actually go and set your heart on something, you know, whether if you're a home buyer or an investor, and you know it's going to be a good deal, just to know what you have got access to before taking time within that deal when it may not actually be available to you.
Correct. Spot on. Spot on. There's no point wasting time. You want to focus in.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, perfect. Thank you, viewers, for your questions. Leah, second deal, please.
Yep, sure. And I am going to do better at multitasking this time. I'm going to click through all of the pictures. Watch this space. So property number 2. This is actually part of a portfolio of 2, although one property has been uploaded. Now, a little bit of background on this one. They have had, again, the property for, well, it's Southampton, so we've already established that it's got the Article 4 in place, and it has been in place since 2012. They have had this property before the legislation came in place. Similar sort of story. We'd need to exercise the grandfather rights. We have had that conversation, and willing to provide the certificate of lawfulness as and when we sort of get to that point. Now, the purchase price is again negotiable, because it might be that individual properties are sold, or we can agree a price that where both properties are bought as a portfolio of 2. So as I say, we can continue to negotiate on this. They haven't been feeling too well, neither have I. So we're still having conversations at the moment, but they're aware that the property is being presented today, and that I'll be going back to them with sort of additional conversations. Now, how do I get rid of this that's showing at the top? Can you still see the screen?
Yes, everything's fine.
Okay, fine. So the property, let's have a quick look. So here's the pictures. So here's the front. You can see that it's got a conservatory on the back. Actually, property number 2 of the portfolio is the property just next door, and you've then got 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. This is the upstairs bathroom. Downstairs has a shower room, which is you'll see that in a second. Bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3, bedroom 4, and then we're into the conservatory, into the garden. And one of the things to mention about the garden actually is they rent it to the local school. The school do something in there, so it's an extra way of them making income. It might be about £2,000 a year. I haven't included that in any of the figures, but I like their initiative to try and utilize every aspect of the property. Here's the kitchen, another shot of the kitchen. And as you can see, the downstairs shower room has had a recent refurbishment. I know that because those tiles that are on the floor I've used in another property, and they're pretty new. But that's all the pictures. So at least I could tick that off to say that we've looked at all of them, albeit too fast, but you can make your way on there and have a look through yourself. Now, in terms of the gross yield identified on here, I've set it at what the property is currently achieving. Now, I know that it's currently achieving 27,000 per annum. That's based on each room, I think, at 450. As I've previously mentioned, it's bog standard across Southampton that rooms are at 550. So no doubt a room of this size would achieve 550. I'm currently co-managing with an operator, and we've got rooms similar size to this that are going for 550, if not a little bit more, just around the corner. So I know it's achievable because the proof's in the pudding, so to speak. Now, coming back to the numbers, again, it's off market, talked about the HMO licensing requirement. Information on this particular area. Now, again, it is central. It's in a location referred to as Fremantle. In the Fremantle area of Southampton, you can expect there's a lot of private rentals and a lot of social housing. But the private rentals, you know, you're in walking distance in town. I can show you the location on the map quickly just so that you can see. So again, here we are. Southampton train station is here. So that's a 13-minute walk away. So this sort of area of Southampton, again, is really popular. The rooms fill really easily. Again, you're close to one of the hospitals, plus you've still got all of the docks. You've got the Mayflower. You know, it's really central to a lot of key locations as to why people visit Southampton. So you can utilise it as a HMO, but again, you're still in that catchment where you can explore serviced accommodation if you want to. I'll just go back up to this area here.
Sorry, Leah, just to interrupt. June's
Yes.
asked, is that £550 per calendar month per week? Just to clarify, please.
Per calendar month for each room.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so that would take you from 27,000 per annum to 33,000 per annum. So there's quite a difference there, but it's certainly, you know, more than achievable. As far as what else do I need to talk through here? So in terms of renovation, any property always benefits from a lick of paint. In this particular instance, as you can see, this property is done to a good standard. There wouldn't be that much that you would want to change. As far as the cosmetic, you know, paint the walls. It's then when you get to the conservatory and the kitchen where they would benefit from some modernisation. But we're going to talk about that. Did you want to talk about this now, or should we hang fire?
Bruce, did you want to come in on with regards to the conservatory as well? Because I know that we have got some interesting insights with regards to the conservatory as well. And
Sure.
the kitchen, if you can just, I don't know if you've got floor plans on this, but the kitchen and the conservatory are interesting points, aren't they?
Yeah, I've got the floor plan from when it was last sold, and it hasn't changed, to be honest. So this is it.
Okay.
If you
And
can
so if you
see
could just indicate where that conservatory is and the kitchen for the viewers.
Can I make it larger? No. So the conservatory is here, and the kitchen is this section here.
Brilliant.
Gotcha.
And what's the bit in between, Leah? What's the
It's a
box
bedroom.
in between?
So you've got a bedroom, you've got a bedroom. This is your entrance hallway, and then you'll go into the conservatory at the back. You've also got the shower room in here as well.
Okay, perfect. I think
Okay.
it was just important to just so we could ensure the viewers could see the layout of that. So Bruce, would you like to, I know Tim, you were looking at this earlier, weren't you? And you were intrigued with this as well.
Yeah, I'm really quite interested in, because there's a lot of potential here to make it into either a 7-bed, so going into sui generis, or have an extra sort of space for a communal area, or even sort of double up the kitchen. So it'd be really interesting to get Bruce's views on the potential here.
Amazing.
Yeah. So as with Tim, as we were chatting earlier, it'd be good to perhaps put the kitchen in the back of the property and perhaps build out a little extension. We've already got a footprint of the conservatory, but the garden's huge. We can actually go out a bit further under PD, and we really need at least 19 square meters, or maybe even 22 square meters of communal area for a sui generis property. But because it's glass at the back, many lenders don't like lending on a term product, because they're not energy efficient, and you don't have 500 mil walls keeping in the heat. So I would take down that conservatory and actually extend out back and actually put in a kitchen, an open plan living area, and convert the current kitchen into another bedroom. That's my thoughts about this. And then you can really drive up the value.
Brilliant. So thank you for that. And I think it's important, Bruce, just to point out to the investors that are on here watching, and maybe also on the replay, that we're not saying that it wouldn't be that lenders wouldn't lend to it. It's just that they are a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? Apprehensive, maybe a little, because of what you've just mentioned, but also it has nothing to do with any licensing or HMO licensing and laws.
It's nothing to do with licensing. It's nothing to do with planning. The local council is more than happy. It's just the lenders these days, they want rooms to be warm and energy efficient, and a conservatory is not classed as that. And as it's part of the shared accommodation, we really need to take the conservatory down and get some walls up, which are more energy efficient.
Brilliant. And Leah, just with that, with regards to that point, the seller is open to negotiation?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, that had come back to purchasing the one or both properties that were within the portfolio. So there's certainly room for negotiation there.
Amazing. And I think when, you know, speaking about this before, Bruce, we were talking about this, and ultimately we're looking at, you know, 10 to 15,000 to actually do the extension approximately.
Yeah. And then look, depending on the size, I mean, just replacing the conservatory, you're looking at 10 to 15. If you want to go out a little bit more, it's great that they own the property next door, so there won't be any party wall issues. So we get all the party wall agreed prior to sale if you did want to do any work done. But you could really push out the back here and convert it into a much bigger HMO and really drive up the rent. Brilliant.
Thank you so much. Tim, did you have anything to either add or inquire?
Yeah, just the other property, is it the one that this is semi-attached to? Is they're one unit together, right?
Yeah, so they're side by side.
Side by side. So Bruce, is there any lending options where there'd be ability to make it into one property? Like buy them both and
potentially, but you don't want to get too big with HMOs, because if you start doing two sui generis properties, that's turning into like a 14-bed HMO, and you're going to get diminishing returns. You're actually going to get better returns if you've got two separate HMOs, which are not more than 9 beds combined. And that's just on the valuation figures, because I don't want to go into gross yields and net adjusted yields, and it's too much information. But the yields which we're getting back in Portsmouth, which is next door to Southampton, basically confirm that don't go over 10 people in a property.
Okay, perfect. So just for clarification then, the sweet spot is up to approximately 10 people.
Yeah, I would keep all HMOs below 10 in this market, because they just get too big and unwieldy. Okay.
And so just to point out there, what Bruce is confirming is people and not necessarily rooms.
Correct. Planning's about usage, is the people, not the rooms. I've got lots of clients who've got a 6-bed HMO, but I've got sui generis planning on it in a non-Article 4 area, just to get the yield-based valuation, where one of the rooms is a double.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that. And just going on to the Article 4 area there, Leah, where you mentioned about Southampton being in the Article 4. Really what I want to point out here, and if you can confirm, is when we are purchasing an Article 4, when we are purchasing a HMO in an Article 4 area, that's really a potential a potential here to really maximize cash, because if there's restrictions on HMOs and you can get your hands on one, then you're really winning.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll find in Southampton that any requests of changing usage in most instances has just been rejected. So getting your hands on one, and especially one where you've got potential to add more value, is a really good strategy, which is being sort of implemented across Southampton, and I know many that are doing in Portsmouth as well. So yeah, lots of opportunity there.
Brilliant, perfect.
And the nice thing is if it already is a 5 or 6 bed HMO, planning to go to a SUI, you're only increasing the density by one person. Therefore, you're less likely to be knocked back. What councils have got issues with is when you've got a family dwelling of 3 or 4 people, then there's somebody think you're going to get swarms of people coming in. That's why they turn it down. But if it's already in Article 4 and already being used, you're halfway there to get sui generis planning, which is fantastic.
And sometimes it can be simple things, can't it? Like if you've suddenly got 7 people at the property, where are they? Are they all parking? Do they have storage for their bikes? And even bike storage sometimes, just adding, I know people have had their applications rejected because they didn't take that into consideration. Just simple things like that.
Yeah.
And what
Brilliant.
did you?
And Tim's got his hand
there?
raised. Sorry, go for it, Tim.
Sorry, Bonnie. What did you say the reason is that they're selling? What the
Yeah, sure. So I think I might have missed that off by accident, actually. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, Tim. They've had these 2 properties and there are only 2 properties that they have, but for such a long time that they just wanted to invest their money in different things. So they've got somebody in place who's managing it for them at the moment. So they're pretty hands off. So it is just a case of investing in something else, just a bit of a change.
Understood. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks. And there's no doubt that perhaps the recent mini budget might have be influencing people's decision as well to move on to different things. So yeah, who knows?
I like these ones as well. Like there's a lot of potential. Have you talked about PLOs with these guys at all, or has that not come up yet?
Yeah, they would prefer to, if they're going to sell, they prefer to sell. That's sort of their position on this particular just their decision making at the moment. But a property, I do have another one which again hasn't been uploaded today because I'm having again conversations, but I thought I'm already having 2 conversations with 2 sellers. I can't add a third one on there where I'm still having a conversation. But they have got, it's a 6 bed and they're interested in purchase lease option as well. So maybe that's one for, if anybody is interested in purchase lease options at the moment, then you can always reach out and we can see if that's going to be a strategy or a property that you're interested in.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. We have a question come in from June. I have an investor who wants 10 plus homes for rent-to-rent serviced accommodation. Should I look for or advise, what should I look for or advise them to do? June, I'm not sure who you would like to answer your question. So please let me know and I can direct that to them. Anyone. Okay. These questions, June, we were not really sure about where your investment area is or the area that you're focusing on for your investors. So things like that really do help us with criteria and actually the best advice to give. So once again, if you can contact me on my email address, bonnie@sourcinginvestments.co.uk, we'll be happy to help you further. London NW10 Plumstead, okay, but we'd still need to be able to do some due diligence around that area to see what we can advise you as to be the best strategy and best way forward. Tim, you've just unmuted. Did you want to add anything there?
Yeah, June, I'm also very happy to give you a hand on this. Feel free to email me as well. I'm at tim@sourcinginvestments.co.uk, and I think some of your questions we can go into a little bit more detail a little bit later on those.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Tim. And June, please do feel free to email us. We are here to help. I've also had a question in from GB Law. with regards to basic explanations as to why one can get into diminishing returns with too many HMO rooms, can you provide some figures for us to help understand more around how many HMO or rooms is too much? I think with regards to that GB law, if you reach out to us, definitely contact Bruce. He's the expert with regards to lending. I will put in Bruce's link again into the chat box, so please feel free to contact Bruce on his link, or us at either admin@sourcinginvestments.co.uk or myself at bonnie@sourcinginvestments.co.uk. But I will add Bruce's link there as well. Leah, do you have anything else to share with regards to the deal that you were just going through? Apologies.
I think we might have touched on everything there, Bonnie. Thank you. It's good.
Okay, awesome. Bruce, Tim, anything else to add?
No, I think that's a good, there's lots of potential there. It's just drilling down to what you can do, which would be, I think that's a rough diamond there. Definitely a rough diamond.
It's definitely got superb potential. I love both of your deals, Leah, I have to say. I'm excited.
I'm very excited about them. I really like them both. So
yeah,
I'll be doing a little bit more digging. And
absolutely,
yeah, it's about the due diligence and going through the numbers a little bit more to work out which of the options is best. But the fact that there are so many options that can be done in the area with so much potential, I think is really quite exciting.
Yeah, and I'd just like to point out, you've just mentioned something really crucial there, Tim. It's about the due diligence around numbers. We always are key with, numbers will lead you to the truth, so to speak. So it's really crucial that you do crunch those numbers, know those numbers, and follow the path along those. We do property investor training and mentoring within Sourcing Investments. So we are looking at relaunching videos and as such, just to help our investors along the journey, just to help them know where those numbers are coming from, how to acquire those numbers and what to look for. So I hope that helps. Do feel free to get in touch if you want to know more about that. With regards to more questions coming through, how do you work out the rent amounts? Again, June, feel free to reach out to Tim or I with regards to that. And Fitzroy, let me just add in Bruce's link once more for everyone here. And then I will show you actually, once you've registered, this is Bruce's link for bond finance on the platform. Okay, so for those of you that have asked for that, and also please feel free to contact Leah here as well. So thank you so much. I actually want to show the investors one last thing, and that's how to get in touch with both yourselves, Leah and Bruce at Sourcing Investments. Let me just, again, tech ability, sharing screen. Let me just do that. You would think that I've got this down to the T now, but here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. So this is Bruce here. This is when you're an investor, you'll have your power team available. This is Bruce's link here. Let me see. I did have this open. I can't see why I can't see it, but there we go.
That's me. I'm there.
There you are. Okay, I had it open though, Bruce. So this is Bruce here at Bond Finance Limited, and literally all you need to do is click the live button. You could click the live chat button, or you can fill in the form. With the live chat button, please be aware that Bruce does not pop up and say hello straight away. It sends us an email alert to let us know that you need some information. So when you click that button, it will let you know that you're entering into a direct conversation with Bruce. Okay, so there you go. And also the same with Leah. So this is Leah's landing page here. This is her website within the platform. You can see her stats and the services that they provide as well, and that she's fully compliant. And you'll see all her deals in her window currently. Okay, perfect. And so when you want to connect with Leah, once you get to her landing page, which I have sent the link into the chat box, again, click the live chat button. and this will send an alert message to Leah to let her know that you are about to, that you have engaged in a direct conversation. So I really genuinely hope that helps everybody. Again, the links are in the chat box. For those of you that are watching on the replay at our YouTube channel, Sourcing Investments Limited, and need those links, please feel free to reach out to us here at admin@sourcinginvestments.co.uk or bonnie@sourcinginvestments.co.uk, and we will happily pass those along to you as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bruce, for your knowledge and your wisdom around lending and finance. Tim, for your valuable questions every week, every month that you come in with to allow us to see from an investor's perspective, and to Leah for actually allowing us into your business to see the deals that you source, what you have availability to, and the potentials in Southampton. And thank you to our viewers as well who have watched here live with us, and to those that watch on the replay. And with that, I wish you all a wonderful day, maybe afternoon or evening, and also a fantastic Christmas. And we look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thank you, everyone.